When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine? Birthday greetings, Bob.
Good afternoon. My name is John Lutz. I'm the Executive Director at Elder Services of Berkshire County, and this is Berkshire Senior TV, and I thank you for taking your time to watch. We're going to talk today about the Adult Family Care Program. I have two experts on that here with me, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Maureen Tuggy. I am the Director of Client Services, and part of my responsibility at Elder Services is to oversee the Adult Family Care Program.
And I'm Cindy Danforth. I'm the registered nurse with the Adult Family Care Program, and I do the assessments and the monthly monitoring and visiting.
So let's start with one clarification. Sometimes you hear this program referred to as AFC, Adult Family Care, or Adult Foster Care. Are they in fact one and the same thing?
They are. They, in the beginning, back 20 plus years ago, it was referred to as adult foster care because originally it was intended for non-family members. And then they changed it probably about 9-10 years ago.
2007.
To include family members, not the spouse or significant other, the spouse or the guardian. They cannot be a caregiver, paid caregiver in the program.
And I want to talk about that because I know in some states they can do that, but here they can't. So talk about what the rule is in Massachusetts.
The ruling is that any family member, any person can be a caregiver for an approved individual in the Adult Family Care Program as long as it's not the legally responsible adult or surrogate, guardian, or a spouse. And the feeling is that in some thoughts that there's a conflict of interest there, and the death do you part piece with spouses. But there is a movement within the state to have that changed and to allow spouses to be paid caregivers, but we're not there yet.
But there are, and I think there are in some other states. I think I've heard 15 or 16. So it's really a state decision.
It is, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think Mass Home Care that we're a member of has advocated for that for a long time. That we should have that change in that policy.
And we've gotten close a few times, but we just haven't hit it out of the park yet.
Okay. So let's start with basics.
Okay.
What is the Adult Family Care Program?
It is a program under the Mass Health umbrella services, meaning that the individual that's being cared for needs to have be approved for Mass Health, and that is in the Commonwealth the health insurance program for low-income individuals. So the program pays the caregiver to provide care to the participant. And
if this participant was not in the Adult Family Care Program, where might they be?
A lot of our referrals come from they're in the community and they're not doing well. It may be someone in a nursing home. The age range for the program is 16 and over. So we've had some individuals that are under the age of 18 in the program, and they really have just been part of the, they were being cared for by individuals in the home. Again, not their parent, but it had to be a legally responsible adult in the home.
But you mentioned nursing home. So someone could be in a nursing home, be evaluated, and come out of the nursing home back into the community.
Absolutely. We've had that happen a few times. A lot of our placements are family members caring for loved ones, but that's not exclusive. It can be, we have some non-family placements that are very long-term. We have one placement that they've been together 15 years. And this individual, while not an elder when he was admitted to the program, has aged in place, has really become a part of the family with whom he lives with and who cares for them. And it's just, we've had another placement too that's close to 15 years. So, and again, it's non-family placements, but it is also too, we have daughters taking care of moms. We have one placement where a sister is taking care of her sister and her brother-in-law. both under 60
Okay.
with significant health needs. But,
Yeah.
So to be a caregiver in the program, the Commonwealth requires a very stringent approval process. If someone calls and thinks that they want to be part of the program, I'll have a conversation with them, over, sort of a screening interview over the phone. If they're still interested, after I tell them everything they have to go through, I will send out an application to them. We ask for 4 references. The Commonwealth requires that all of our caregivers have evidence of a physical examination within the last 6 months and a TB screening. Once all that's back from their physician, there's requirements for the home safety evaluation. For the qualified setting, and that's what the regulations call it, we need to make sure that any place where an AFC participant is going to reside is safe. So do they have smoke detectors? Do they have carbon monoxide detectors? Are the egresses clear? Do they have a private bedroom with a door?
Yep.
Do they have a place to keep their clothes? Is the lighting safe? It's a comprehensive. Do they have a fire extinguisher, a first aid kit? So it's a very comprehensive list. And then once that hurdle is met, a CORI check, a criminal background check, is required of anyone in the home over the age of 18. So whether or not you're even a caregiver in the home, and sometimes.
So you could be in the home and not be, quote unquote, the caregiver.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You could just be another family member that's there.
Yep.
Okay.
A son-in-law, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then at that point, and sometimes we get from the daughters, well, it's my mom, why do I have to fill out? It's because the Commonwealth treats all of our caregivers the same, so everyone needs to go through this process. And then once we have an approved caregiver, if it's not a ready-made match, which sometimes it is, and that means that a daughter's already caring for her mom in the home, or that it is
Like a friend.
a friend. Yep, we've had some friends. If not, then we start to, it's almost like we match them. Are they willing to take someone in their home that smokes, that has a pet? Are they willing to take care of somebody with behavioral health issues? Somebody with developmental disabilities? Do they want a man or a female? So it's very much a matching process. Cindy and the social worker do the assessment for the client or the participant. And Cindy can speak to a little bit about.
Yeah, so we go out, we make an appointment, go out, and we meet with, 90% of the time we're meeting with the client and the caregiver together. When they're already made placements. We've gone into nursing homes, we've gone into group, if somebody was in like a transitional housing type unit. And I gather all the medical information. We make sure that they are financially, with the Mass Health, eligible. Do they have a home? Do they need a home? Once I gather all the medical information, I send their doctor their primary care medical form that they fill out, send back to me, put it all in the computer, get it all together, send it off to another elder services agency who does all of Massachusetts approvals at this point. So there's no conflict.
And you are a nurse.
I am
So
the nurse.
the assessment is required to be done by a nurse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I get all that, the medical assessment done and stuff. And typically within a week or two, though they have up to 21 days to get an answer back to me, I'm hearing back from this other agency whether the person's been approved or not. And
Which person?
the client.
The client. Okay.
the
that
nurse,
they're
yes.
suitable for the program.
Yes, because you have to meet.
And then the
you have to
caregiver
have.
is like a separate.
Right.
Okay.
In the adult family care program, you have to require 21 hours at minimum of supervision. Your
21
needs
hours a week.
a month.
A month.
I mean, I'm sorry, a day.
A day. Oh, okay.
21
Got it.
hours a day of supervision. And that can be just supervision. You could need some physical assistance. There are 2 levels to the program depending on what your care needs are, but the minimum is 21 hours a day of supervision.
So, back when you were describing the different types, one thing for a family member, a daughter, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, but if you're a friend or an acquaintance or just someone who's interested. I mean, you are taking on the care
Yes.
of this. I mean, given the 24-hour requirement, I mean, the 21-hour requirement, I mean, you're
Right.
taking on the care of this person.
Yeah, it's huge responsibility, but if you're willing to do it, you're getting paid by the state, the Commonwealth, to provide the 24-hour care, 21 at minimum, that this consumer client is requiring. That's pretty much all on you. You don't hire somebody to come in and bathe them because
Right.
that's part of the program. You're responsible for that.
It's an all-inclusive program.
Right.
Meaning that some programs that we offer at the agency, we can blend our services
Right.
with another program. The adult family care is all-inclusive, with the exception of many of our participants attend day programs, either adult day health or a DDS program, a Department of Developmental Services program. And that's great because it gets the client out of the home, the consumer out of the home, gives the caregiver a break. And so we think that those programs are very vital, and not just with the AFC program,
Right.
but for any of our consumers. And qualifying for the program, the individual needs to have a medical diagnosis to back up the need for the supervision. So it can't be just because I'm lonely and I want somebody to take care of me. It is, do they have Alzheimer's disease? Do they have Parkinson's disease? Do they have significant mental health issues that are preventing them from
Being
taking
able to.
care for themselves?
Now, Maureen mentioned that this is from 16 to
Forever.
forever. I think we have some folks you mentioned that were maybe over 90
Yes.
in the program. What, if not for this program, what would be the choices for, and you've been doing this for a while, what would be the choices for families, friends, loved ones that would still be available for the folks that they're trying to care for?
You mean what support is out there for the
Right.
caregivers
Well,
or for
no,
the clients?
for the client, for the participant, sorry.
Typically, if they have like significant mental health issues, you're looking at like some type of group living in a facility or building for people with their specific conditions. Unfortunately, the elders, a lot of times, we're keeping them out of the nursing home. We do have a couple that are basically require total care that are more than eligible to be in a nursing home, but with the support from the program, both financially and emotionally, to the caregivers and the clients, they're able to remain at home where most of our elders, or especially young people, would
Right.
rather
Would
be.
rather be out in the community, right.
And once placed in the program, there's a lot of monitoring. Either the nurse or the social worker is in the home every month. And for individuals who have greater care needs, more complex care needs, both disciplines are in the home every month. So these placements are monitored very closely. Number one, to make sure that the client's needs are being met, but also, does the caregiver have questions? Are they having behaviors that they don't know what to do with? Are there symptoms?
A
And
lot of education
a big part of what Cindy does is ongoing education
Of
for
the
the caregiver.
to the caregiver and the consumer. Some of our consumers are very cognitively intact and are as interested in what's going on with them medically, and what kind of services and supports are out there to help them. So,
What, and you mentioned a couple different scenarios, and feel free to use examples, but in a family-oriented setting, say someone that is related to the individual, do they need to provide the home? Could they come into, say the elder, say it's an elder, they already have a home, could someone come into the home, or do they have to come into the, I mean, how does that, or maybe that doesn't even make a difference?
at this point, it can be either way. You can either move in with the elder, or the elder can move in with you. Again, most of them are ready-made, so they're already typically living with the caregiver.
And they're already on Mass Health.
Right, and if they're not, when we get the referral, we can assist them with that if they're income eligible and asset eligible. For individuals who are above, the standard Mass Health rate, there is something called the Frail Elder Waiver, that if you're at risk of nursing home placement, your income can be a little higher than just standard Mass Health, as long as your assets are no more than $2,000. And that's something that our staff at Elder Services can help the client with for free.
What about and make sure I ask this the right way so I don't offend anyone. What about safety? We're encouraging people to be caregivers, but in the case that it's not a someone is coming into their home. What's kind of the apparatus to make sure that this is that everyone is at least safe? If not, I know you're trying to match them, but I mean.
Right. I mean, we do a comprehensive screening, both medically or. Like I said, if we know that somebody has some, say, mental health issues where behaviors are could potentially be a problem or they're putting either one of them at risk, we go make sure they get as much support from, say, the Breen Center that they need. We make sure our caregivers are fully aware of what the issues are, and Maureen's doing her assessment on the caregiver. Are they able to provide that level of care? So we do a lot of screening, and it's not just when we first say, oh, we think this is a good match, and we throw them together. There's a meeting that takes place, maybe a lunch. Then typically we'll try and do an overnight in the home to make sure that the caregiver basically gets a feel for how much care this person needs, and that the client gets a feel for what it's going to be like to live with the caregiver. We don't just throw them together. We go through the screening process because we want each placement to succeed. So, and I've been with Elder Services for 14 years, and that has really worked. We have a really good success rate of matching. And
you've done this program for the entire time?
Yes. I love this program.
Apparently. So let's call upon that expertise. I know Maureen has done it as well, but you're more often in the home. Let's talk about, to help people in case they're thinking about, what do they need? What does someone need to be thinking about for it to be? What are the pieces that make this kind of arrangement successful, and what are the things that make it challenging? From a practical standpoint, that the ones you've seen succeed, what do they have in common, and the ones that don't, maybe are there common threads on either side, either positively or negatively?
A lot of it has to do with your ability to manage stressful situations. If you can, you can work, but it's almost like, and I'm not trying to say this derogatory or anything, but it's almost like having the responsibility of a child in your home. Your child gets sick, you stay home. The client gets sick, you are expected to stay home. So you really have to have that ability, that desire to basically give a lot of your time and effort into taking care of somebody who can't take care of themselves. And honestly, we've only had like one placement that didn't work out, and that was due to some mental health type issues, an adjustment. The client had a really hard time adjusting to community living under the roof of somebody else, because that was a non-family placement. All of our family placements have been a success, and a few of our non-family placements too. Our oldest placement at this point is from 2002.
So 15,
to present date.
15
years. And the gentleman's doing very well, and he's thriving, and like Maureen said, he's become part of the family. So.
What about, again, just thinking about different circumstances that people might be thinking about, well, could my circumstances fit this program? Say the caregiver comes into the home instead of the participant going to their home. Could the spouse still live in the home? but not be the designated caregiver? Or how does?
Yeah.
So that's
Absolutely. If it was a couple that, say, a daughter moved in to take care of them, actually, they could both be consumers, and the daughter could take care of
Okay.
both of them,
Okay.
as long as they were eligible, both with having Mass Health and also meeting the medical eligibility guidelines.
so I'm just thinking of people like, so they can be in the home, but the relationship is between a designated caregiver and a designated participant.
Exactly.
And what else is going on in the home, I won't say won't matter, but it's not that's the relationship there, even if
Right.
the other spouse is still present. Okay.
And any time that, because certainly, families change and dynamics change, but the makeup of the home, if individuals move in that are over the age of 18, even after the placement, we would need to have a satisfactory query on any individual that's in the home. There's a lot of monitoring. There's a lot of support. I think part of the success of our placements is that they get a lot of support from Cindy and our social worker Nancy McCarthy, and also too supports from outside. It sometimes takes a village to care for some of these individuals. So they have supported adult day health. They may receive behavioral health services from the Brain Center or another agency. They may have their social needs met by going to adult day health, or also they may have a peer support from an agency. So as long as there's a lot of support, and also our caregivers are allowed to have 2 weeks paid vacation a year, and this allows them sort of 2 weeks to sort of regroup and we're able to pay an alternate caregiver to take care of the individual. And again, they go through this same process that we put our primary caregivers through. And if the care is going to be provided in a different setting, we go and every year and annually we do the safety inspection of the alternate placement to make sure that, again, from year to year, from placement to placement, that it's secure.
But Cindy, back to what you were describing as well, you need to be ready that this is
Right.
this is your primary responsibility, as you said,
Right,
almost
right.
as like a parent, like this person is your responsibility.
And we've had people that have had to, and that have been willing to leave their job to provide care. So the monetary support that the program provides, though it's not going to replace the money you got from your job, helps to take away some of that stress. We have had people work if the client went to a day program. They've worked during the hours that consumer was in that program for that day. So there's,
But I can see where, especially if it's a couple, one of them, the one spouse needs the care,
Yes.
the other one's not able to provide the care. It might allow for a family member or someone to come in and at least have some compensation and allow
Right.
the dynamic, to
Right.
still function, with housing and living, where a daughter or a daughter-in-law or someone in the family could come and at least have some financial compensation that still kind of lets it work within the family, network, so to speak.
Yes. Yep.
And it's a tax-free stipend under the foster care umbrella
Oh, okay.
services. So it's not taxable income for individuals.
So it really, so it really could be, okay, if only, this hopefully can get you from point A to point B and be the bridge that says, yes, this is actually feasible.
Yes.
Or that the family could think about trying to do this. Have you ever had the circumstance where you can approve like multiple, so that a family members could kind of, if there's say it's their parents, could they rotate or through the year kind of thing, or is it that you are the prime one, you move in and you're there, maybe someone else, a different family member could come for the vacation? I mean, you could, so it could be something like that.
Yeah, and typically when we do make these placements and somebody's admitted to the program, we tell the caregiver, after 6 months, you're eligible for these 2 weeks, and it goes calendar year, so from January 1st to December 31st. You have these 2 weeks that you can use. do you have a caregiver? We do have a couple very competent caregivers that will do these vacation, or we call them alternative placement days, where they'll take the client into their home and provide care. But most of the time, families are looking for somebody that the client's familiar with. So we do encourage them to ask around, see if somebody'd be willing to come stay at your home or take the client into your home while I go on vacation or just get a break. Some of our caregivers take the break and they just stay home because they need that breath. They need to regroup and refresh, because it's probably one of the hardest jobs out there is caregiving.
Do they have to take the 2 weeks all at once, or can they take it?
You can take
You've got 2 weeks worth of days.
Yes,
then you can
14
use those
days.
14
You can use one overnight here and there. You could do a week here and break it up however they need it broken up.
Which might make it a little more feasible, like if another family member was your backup, kind of if you had an agreement worked out that way. Yeah, it might make it a little more feasible. So, as we get close to having our time up, which I'm sure you're relieved about.
That's fine.
Number one thing that you would tell someone if they were thinking about, either as a participant or as a caregiver, that to think about for this program?
If you're going to do it, just make sure you're ready to take on the responsibility. We try to do long-term placements, and we're looking to keep people in the home, out of the nursing home. We do have scenarios where people have aged in place and their care has just become too much for the caregiver to meet their needs and stuff, and take care of themselves too. So that we've helped transition people from the home into, say, nursing facilities, which is mostly the
eventually
case.
that got to be the only
But you
alternative.
just have the desire to do it because you want to provide care. You want to give somebody that quality of life that they all deserve.
That wraps us up for today. Thank you both for coming. It's a great program, and again, I think for those of us at Elder Services, it lets people age in place, and that's
Yes,
one of
it
our primary
definitely
goals. It
does.
lets them stay in their home or in a loved one's home, and we really want to promote that every time we can. So, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
I've been out till 2:45. Would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 60?